credit to Northwestern, heck of a college basketball game. I think it was a heck of a game. So, disappointed with the result, not disappointed with the things we had worked on for 2 days to get better with, and was really pleased with our pace offensively, our aggressiveness, our physicality on both ends. I thought was really good. And neither team could really score there in the last 2 minutes. Honestly, you hate to see a game decided off free throws. I had a chance to look at it. I'm going to bite my tongue a little bit, but I don't want to take anything away from Northwestern's win. You would hate to see a game decided like that. Having said that, I thought it was a physical battle. You knew that with Northwestern and Chris's teams. It was kind of a 2-possession game for most of the game. They would get up, we would get up, and unfortunately, we couldn't come up with that rebound. CJ and Layden did a great job on the switch, on the ghost action. So we'll lot of good things to take from this, and certainly some things where we got to get better.
I'll bite my tongue a little bit too. It was a little touchy in this game. How do you feel like your team had responded to that adversity and kind of responding to the flow of that game the way that it was?
This particular game, the way it was called? I think both teams were aggressive driving the ball, so you see that in some of these games. What you can't do is you can't allow a team that's driving the ball and getting fouled, and you can't be passive. So if you saw us put our head down and drive some of that was intentional because of how they were calling it. We felt like that needed to be done. Our guys were able to make some plays. We shot a few too many balls in crowds there late, but overall, our guys did a great job getting to the line.
What are some of the good things you saw in this game?
A lot of good things. Pace offensively, physicality. I thought we just played more like, honestly, we had played in a lot of the games outside of really the last game and a half. We've got to continue to play with more pace, and I thought we did that. And it was really good to see that first and foremost. We got to challenge shots better. That's probably the most disappointing thing coming out of this. We got to challenge shots a lot better than what we've done.
Your offensive rebounding numbers were really good. What allowed your guys to get so many of those?
It's something we have really worked on, and I don't want to get too technical here, but Northwestern is a good rebounding team because they're really well coached and they're physical. They are in rotation because of how they play defensively a lot. So they're off bodies, so they're in rotation. And when you're in rotation defensively like that, you can be susceptible to getting on the offensive glass because you're off the offensive player's bodies off the ball. So they're a heavy MIG team. They load to the ball, shot goes up, they're off a body. So we did a good job flooding often to the weak side and creating extra opportunities. And our guys did it with effort. It was really good to see.
Chris, that final play where Layden hoists that shot, was there a particular shot you were looking for, something you were trying to do on that particular play? I know it's a scramble off of 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, you can go long, but you go long, teams are going to load up and know you're going to go long. There's not a whole lot of options. I actually thought Layden did a great job getting it past half court, and we knew they were probably going to send a couple guys to the ball there. We had talked about throwing long. We have an action where you throw long, but that's a trickier. Sometimes you don't even get a shot up in those situations. So I was pleased with that, getting it up on the rim and giving it a chance.
Chris, you saw extended minutes out of both Cruz and Fabian. What have you seen in practice to give them extended run tonight?
I think we've seen stretches where both of them have played really well, and then other times where they've looked like young guys. Fabian's basically a sophomore. Cruz is a freshman. But, we've seen it all year through the offseason where, like, they're good players. And I think for us, sometimes you forget that we're 3 games into the season, now 4 games into the season. So for us as a coaching staff, what we have to figure out is, okay, what team, what gives us the best chance come Big East play to be our best. And in my experience, young guys don't get better by sitting. So we do have to play them. They have effort issues, they're not playing. If they've got lack of toughness issues, they're not playing. But they can play through some of those other mistakes. And hopefully what you get come January is a good player.
And then to follow up on that, with Cruz dealing with the injury in October and Fabian not having a summer and DePaul being on the quarter system, how does it benefit them to not have to work on class load given the extended time off to allow them to just kind of focus on basketball?
You mean this next
this
stretch
next
here?
upcoming stretch, because I know the quarter's kind of ending.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be, well, you know our schedule better than I do then. Yeah, I wasn't even aware of that. Yeah, I think it'll give our guys, a lot of extra time in the gym. Cruz has got to get stronger. I think we all know that, but I was really pleased with, in general, we were just a more aggressive attacking team tonight. He's got to make a few better rim reads, but I thought he gave us a tremendous lift, and it was great to see. It's hard sometimes when you're a freshman and you play 4 or 5 minutes because you just come in with different expectations. So he and I have had some heart-to-hearts throughout the first couple weeks of the season because there is a process to it. I've had to explain stories of top 50 players that I've coached who've played, 4 or 5 minutes their first 8 to 10 games of the year, but they have a choice to make. The choice is, hey, figure out a way to be really good in 4 or 5 minutes, figure out a way to come back the next day and practice and work really hard and have a great attitude and a great approach and be great the next day in practice and then be great the next day and then come back in the next game and maybe you play 6 or 7 and you do that with great effort. That is the process for most young players.
Coach, obviously you talked about some of the increased aggressiveness today, and you've been very vocal these past few weeks about challenging especially Kaleb to be more aggressive. Just what did you see from him tonight as he kind of starts to impose himself a little bit more?
Yeah, I thought he was good on the glass. I thought he was, I thought it was a phenomenal atmosphere tonight. And I thought that energy, there was some purple there, but there was a lot of blue. There was a lot of blue in the building, a lot of blue. And it was, I think maybe as good an energy as I've felt in a year plus. So that was great to see, but I think our guys, including Kaleb, fed off that. And I was, he's got to continue to get better in other areas, particularly rebounding the ball, but he was aggressive.
Chris, in the first half, the last 5 minutes, CJ and Layden are both sitting with foul trouble. What does it mean to see that second unit really step up, particularly the half-court offense that's been so sluggish the last couple games?
Yeah, boy, has it ever. That was the focus the last 48 hours is getting back to being just playing with better pace. And I don't want to get into too much, but yeah, that was important. What we've seen with that second group is we've seen that in practice through the summer and the fall, that there are times where they have beaten, quote unquote, the starting group. That's why I think the starting lineup will be pretty fluid throughout the year. I really do. I don't think we're going to be tied to 5 particular starters because I think there's a little more balance than maybe what we've had in the past. The second group did a great job. Whether you call them second group, the subs, whatever.
How do you continue to build off of a game like this?
Yeah, really good question. We work really hard tomorrow in practice, and then we work really hard on what day is it? Sunday for practice. And that is really it.
We'll take Nick, and then do we have anything else? We'll go last one with Ryan.
Chris, you talked about wanting to see a more aggressive style of offense, and Layden was in here. He said the coaching staff was kind of thinking that they were playing more passive. So my question is, how do you coach aggressiveness?
Yeah, good question, Nick. You simplify it, so they're thinking less and they're reacting more. My wife knows this. It was couple really early mornings looking at film the last couple of days. We had to really simplify our offense so they could play more instinctively and more aggressively. I thought we had them thinking a little bit too much, and they did that tonight, and we've got to continue to build on that. And when teams play us a little bit different, like some of the teams we played the last couple of weeks where they played us a little bit different, we've got to figure out how to keep this level of aggressiveness. We have one more?
Yeah, I'm not sure I know the schedule as well as Nick does, but when I do see a crosstown matchup at the beginning of the season, I do circle it. Do you see this matchup with Northwestern as a yearly thing becoming sort of a rivalry that Chicago as a whole can benefit from, in a college basketball setting?
Yeah, I mean, did you think it was a good college basketball game?
Yes.
Yeah, then I think it's something, that we need to do every year. They're a good team. They're a good program. I've got a lot of respect for them. We've got to figure out how to, beat them. Like I've said, I think you want rivalries where you respect the program, and the best way to respect a program is to play really well in that particular game. So, they've got us the last 2 years, and we've got to get ready to, for next year. But I hope the series continues for certainly as long as I'm here.
Kaleb, after being in the starting lineup the first couple of games and then coming in off the bench, how have you used that as motivation?
Just to do things better, do things what coach asked me to do better. Just play harder, just play more physical, and just be a team first guy. Always, under my circumstances, just play as good as I can. Really.
Layden, how do you think you guys were able to keep this game so close?
I think this game we did a better job of just being more aggressive on offense. I think that was the big key. What the coach was telling us after this last game, even the game before that, we've been playing just timid on the offensive end and passive, and I feel like we came out this game more aggressive, and, that's a step forward.
Layden, in a game like this where it's kind of touchy, there's a lot of adversity on both sides. What did you learn about this team and the makeup that you have?
Well, I feel like, I knew a lot about the team coming in, but, they are very physical. We knew that coming in. They're a very physical team. And, yeah, that was a big key. They're just a physical team. They like to use their hands and just keep them off the glass.
Layden, after the Buffalo game, what was practice like the last 2 days coming into Northwestern?
After the Buffalo game, I feel like the coaches just instilled a lot of just confidence in everybody because, like I said, I feel like everybody, including myself, been playing passive past few games, and I think that's what they was realizing, like just everybody just playing timid. So they just gave everybody confidence, told everybody just to hang loose and play, and I feel like, that's what we need.
Guys, obviously, first true outing with DePaul. Fabian has 6 points, 8 rebounds. Just talk about what his presence has meant for you guys, not only in the game, but also in practice these past few weeks.
Yeah, it's very helpful having 7'4", how tall he is, guy down there. I love Fabi. He picks up things very quick, and he's very his attention to detail is very great. So I'm excited for Fabi.
For both of you guys, just what was the message from Coach after the game to the team?
Like I said again, like he felt like it was a step forward for us offensively, just being aggressive and being more confident. I feel like I said, we've just been timid, and it was the one thing he just wanted us just to be more aggressive. Don't be scared, just be fearless, and he felt like we took a step forward in that direction.
Like Block said, he was pretty much happy about our effort tonight, and he told us not to hang our heads low because we fought hard for 40 minutes. And we just got to finish the game better.
Layden, can you take me through the final play and the final shot? What was kind of the direction there, and what were you trying to do in terms of getting to your spot on the floor?
Play was just simply for me to catch it, try to, you get 3 seconds, try to get 3 dribbles, get to the rim, or get the best shot, and they just double teamed it, they read it, and I had to take up that shot.
Anything else for the players? Take last one here.
Guys, obviously, a lot of people on the team, both players and staff, have been telling us, what we can expect from Cruz, and I think tonight he finally started to show it. Just what did his presence mean for you guys tonight as he's kind of starting to get his legs under him?
Yeah, it's great that, Cruz is starting to get his legs under him. Early in the season, he was hurt, so, he couldn't really find his rhythm. And, I feel like now he's finally, starting to find his rhythm and, getting that confidence from, the team and his teammates, the coaches. And I feel like he's going to be great for us in the future.